Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Misty and welcome to the show. Today we're going to be looking at the American Tier 8 heavy tank, the T32. And I'm going to be trying to explain to you why it's a great tank with some minor drawbacks. So, first things first, we're going to look at the armor of the tank, as I'm sure that is the biggest draw for you guys in a heavy. It has 127 armor at the front, and following standard American tactics, 76 armor and 51 armor at the sides and rear, which is quite poor. But at the front, it's quite sloped, decent angle to it. With 127mm of thickness, you can and will bounce shots off the front of this tank if you angle it properly. Although, as always, the lower glaciers here, very weak and will be penetrated by similar tier and lower tier tanks if you don't angle it. If you give it an angle about this far, you don't want to show too much at the side of your tank. That can bounce, but still, you want to be hiding the low glaciers as much as possible. And with most American heavies, you want to show just the turret, and this tank especially, as it has 298mm of armor at the front of the turret, with 197 at the side and 152 at the rear. This is an incredibly well armored turret, and just look how thick that gun mantle is. There is very few guns in the game that will go through the front of this turret, and very few that will even dare go through that mantlet. So definitely worth keeping that in mind. You want to get something to sit in front of your tank and cover up your hull and just show them that turret, and that tank is fairly invincible at that point. You do have the weak spot on the top of the tank here, this cupola, but it's quite small and quite slanted, so if you rotate your turret side to side when you finish firing, you can bounce shells off that cupola as well and keep yourself alive for a lot longer, which I will showcase later on. Now, this tank is the big brother of the T29, the Tier 7 American Heavy, and pretty much follows the same vein as that. All that being said, it does have a better engine to it, with 760 horsepower, giving it a top speed of 35 kilometers an hour, which it can and will reach quite consistently, although it is a 58-ton tank, so going uphill it does lose a lot of speed. But it's generally quite a nippy tank and decent mobility to it. 25 degrees per second reverse speed, meaning it can turn quite quickly and prevent itself getting circled, or point your turret and hull armor at the opponents quickly, with a 25 degrees per second turret reverse speed as well, meaning you are pretty mobile. Not as mobile as a medium tank, but mobile enough. The tank also has a 400 meter view range, which is about standard for tier 8s, and the 745 meter signal range coming from the upgraded radio, which is about standard. So, one thing I want to draw attention to when you get this tank is you will start off with this turret, and that turret is very poor with 114mm of armor at the front, 76 at the side and rear. You want to quickly get the upgraded turret. That will be the first thing you want to get, because this severely limits how far you can go forward. You cannot be a front line with this stock turret. It's just not strong enough. And as you see, you have the same guns from the T29, so hopefully you upgraded to the 105mm when you were playing the T29. And that'll save you the very painful grind of using the 90mm at tier 8, because it's just not good enough. That being said, let's bring the stats of the gun, as it is the biggest complaint of people driving this tank, that the 105mm is not good enough on this tank at tier 8. I disagree with them to an extent. It is the biggest weakness of the tank, but it's not a bad gun by any stretch. It just doesn't have the same dominance it had at tier 7. With a 5.6 rounds per minute, it's a decent rate of fire to it, giving you about a 9-second reload with upgrades, maybe a bit lower with the equipment added to it. With 198 penetration and 320 alpha damage, it's a strong gun if you can aim for weak spots. You cannot expect to go through the front of, say, an E75, but if you aim for the weak spots, this gun can and will perform very well for you. It just involves you having to think and plan your shots accordingly. Although, with a 0.41 meter accuracy, you have to be fairly close range to hit those weak spots consistently. But a 2.3 second aiming speed means that you can snapshot those weak spots fairly consistently. And I recommend that's something you practice doing early on, because if you don't, you will struggle in this tank. Now, I generally like to stock it with a decent selection of armor-piercing composite shells because of that low penetration. It'll allow you to deal with the tier 8 and 9 and 10 tanks, that you deal with on a consistent basis. Unfortunately, you can and will meet them on a regular intervals, and you need to have that extra penetration to deal with some of the tanks. For the equipment, your standard heavy tanks, I go with vents, gun rammer, and gun lane drive. Just your usual set of equipment. You can go for other things, but I don't think there's need for it. A vertical stabilizer, for example, is just not worth it. There's no need for that. And the crew, 100%. 6 cents on my commander, because I think it's the best perk in the game, and it should be on every tank ever. It's always nice to know when you'd be spotted. Maybe you're going to get hit by artillery. And then as a heavy tank, you want to get repairs, as always. So that's a general look at the tank. Hopefully you guys like the idea, and I'm going to show you why it's one of my favorite tanks in the game at the moment in the coming up matches. So I hope you enjoy them. Let's get into those now. Okay, and this is the first match we get into. It's a standard battle on Arctic region. As you can see, we're top tier, with a couple of tier 7s and tier 6s down there filling up the bottom half of the table. So this is a match we should have a big influence on, and hopefully we can attack or defend the corner very effectively. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to head up to the north and use the rocky outcrops up there to try and hide our hull and go hull down to defend that corner without presenting too large a target to our opponents. As there's only one artillery in the enemy team, I feel quite confident that I can hide up there and keep myself in cover while laying down fire without taking any serious damage. Unfortunately, most of our team heads down the south, and we don't get all that much support up here. There's a couple of them come with us, a couple of AMXs, one of which backs out the way to let me through, knowing all too well that the AMX M4 has no armor, and I do, so I should go first, which is right, and I'm happy to do it. So what we're going to do now is going to head up here onto the left behind the rocks, and that'll let us see around that corner and keep ourselves hull down, and hopefully we can spot someone coming out being a bit brave and lay down some pain before they can get away. Now, if you look at the opponent team, it's not that bad a lineup for us. We have a lot more heavy tanks than they do with tier 8, and we should make the most of that. But that doesn't necessarily mean that's the way things should go. As you know with World of Tanks, sometimes good players go crazy, and sometimes your team is just not full of good players. But here's the spot I was talking about. We're completely held down now. Opponents aren't going to be able to see much of us, let alone get decent shots at us. And we're going to wait for someone to come around the corner. And the ARL is a bit brave and takes a nice meaty 309 alpha damage for his troubles. So I'm sitting here now, I look over and I see my ally AMX pushing forward a bit, being aggressive. And then he starts eating a lot of shells. And that's half his health gone. So I think, right, I'm the heavy tank here. I need to push forward now. Knowing that he's been aggressive and gone round, I'm going to have to go support him. So, I'm going to hug the cliff face, come round and start providing fire and hopefully draw their attention away from my allies. But I'm going to use this little ditch here to keep myself hull down as the enemies come around the corner and allow my allies to shoot them. But when I get here, I realise there's far more people than I first thought. I was expecting 2. It turns out to be about 6 of them in the end. But I angle myself into the cliff face, leaving only my hull sides to be shot at, which at that angle they're never going to get through. And my gun mantlet, which is just, well, as we spoke about earlier, practically impenetrable. So they've started to shoot my allies now, knowing that they're going to struggle to hit me, which is a smart move on their part, but that does allow me to constantly come around the corner. I'll just take a quick look here. As you can see, that's a shot right into the gun mantlet, and a second one off the other side, and a third shell off the angled upper glacis, which bounced straight off there. So it's 3 good shots already we've eaten because somebody decided to try and shoot that big block of steel there. Not a good move for them, but much better for me. So let's carry on. and see how things are going to go. I missed a shot there. That could have been useful. That T32 is a good player and we need to do some damage to him. But unfortunately he keeps hiding himself. So I'm taking whatever shots I can. Try and force the enemy backwards. Keep myself angled though. In this ditch, it's going to be hard for them to get me out. And there's an unfortunate shot there. Tried to hit the cheek of the IS, but he pulled back at the last second. Then again, there's another shot off that gun mantlet. And those are never going to go in. That's just, well, you can see how thick that is from there. So I'm happy to let them keep wasting their shells. But that's a good shot. Let's have a look at that. Straight through that cupola. I was trying to wriggle it. They caught the little lip above the gun mantlet there. And straight through that front end. That is a weak spot, as I mentioned before. I was trying to wiggle my turret to prevent it from hitting me, but unfortunately I didn't do it enough. There you go, back to wiggling that turret. Now, take a chance here, and luckily I had the quicker reload speed to prevent that KV-1S getting a big shot into me. Keep rocking back and forth, forcing T-59 to miss his shot again. And another bounce. Let's have a look where that one went. That's off the gun mantle again, right on the top of the gun there. Right in the center. It's just showcasing to you how powerful this turret is. And how impenetrable you can be. If you keep yourself angled and held down. But a good shot there with the T-59. Let's have a look where that went. Right in the cupola again. A good shot by him. Good play. But I get one in the cheek of the IS. And we've done over 2,000 damage so far. So people who feel this gun isn't very strong, it's just proven to you that if you take your time, get your shots right, you can do a lot of damage. And there my tracks ate the shell because I was angled effectively. One of the best ways to play this tank. Keep yourself hull down, keep yourself slightly angled. Another good shot in the IS, high damage roll there. But they've eventually realised that my allies have gone, and round they come to put the pain. I'm going to take one down with me though. There goes the KV-1S. Perhaps I could have taken a shot on someone else, but I didn't have much left in me, so I thought I'd take a shot before I died. Unfortunately, the team on the south end of the map had died quite early on, and we're getting flanked as well now, so unfortunately this one is over. Let's hope we have some better luck in the next match. So, here's the next match. Tier 9 match. 3 Tier 9s in each team. A couple of Tier 8s, and a few Tier 7s sprinkled in. We're going to have to head over to heavy corner here, I think, because with this gun mantlet and the very good gun depression, which I'm showcasing here, really good gun depression on these American heavies, and fairly good gun elevation as well, because that looks quite amusing, aiming up to the air like that, firing off a salute. We're going to head off here and use this massive gun depression and the really strong turret mantle to hopefully hold that corner for a bit. Again, we're not going to get much support from our team, unfortunately. It seems to be a showcase in these videos. So, I'm thinking that 59-16 is not going to help us hold that corner. As much as he'd probably like to, he's not going to survive very long there. And I'm looking at my map thinking the only person coming with me is this T-34, so we're going to have a bit of support. So I'm clicking the map to get some support over there, but unfortunately nobody pays attention. So me and this T-34 are going to have to man mode it and hold this corner for as long as we can. Bit of foreshadowing, guys. It's going to be painful. But we give a good account of ourselves, and I think that's all that matters. So as you can see there, coming down the hill, 40 kilometers an hour. We've got decent speed and decent mobility, but given the weight in this tank, coming up this hill, we do bleed a lot of speed now. I was hoping to get up here quickly before the opponents managed to, but not enough engine power there. Slow right down, so we're going to have to use this hill here. But thankfully there's no artillery on the enemy team, so we can hide here fairly safely without any problems. So the 59-16, he's harassing the enemy up ahead of us, keeping them spotted and putting in some shots where he can. But we do need to get up there to help him quickly. And unfortunately he advances too far forward here. And he's probably going to pay the price for it. But he's distracting this IS-3 who's got his turret turned. And if I give me the side of the turret, I'm going to take it. That's 303 damage straight off the bat to the side of the IS-3. And we keep ourselves angled coming around this corner now. Don't go too far because we don't want to give him the side of our tank. I was going to try side scrape him and then the T-34 came around. Takes a big hit there. But shots fired, so I aim for the flat part of the cheek. Put the shell straight in there. It's got a pike nose in the front of the IS-3, which gives them good angling if they point the tank straight at you. But because he turns slightly, he flattened the side of his tank out for me. And let me get a shot in. And now, KV-5, everyone knows about the weak spots on them. Big R2-D2 drone in the front. Put your shot into that. I don't think it's an actual R2-D2, guys. It's a machine gun port, most likely, or a viewport. But it's affectionately called the R2-D2 drone. And there, a track take the shot for us, and we got away without using a repair kit because I knew the opponents had fired and were reloading. Good bounce with the T-34. Shot's been fired, so I get out, and I snapshot the bottom of the KV-5 there. Didn't take my time to get the shot off properly, and he angled the lower glacis, and the bullet went flying off. And another snapshot there. 2 bad shots by me, trying to get that drone before he pulled back. And now the T-34 blocks me off here, and this is a bad move on his part. He blocks me off, gets caught, and ends up taking a lot of damage. And I was hoping I could sneak past, but I can't get around in time. So, unfortunately, he's going to die and leave me alone in this corner. Thankfully, Centurion's come around to give me a bit of support here. But now this is not looking good. There's 3 heavies up there, and I'm alone on this corner. And the KV-5 there tries to fire a shot, but thankfully, the corpse of this T-34 is going to give me good protection here as I can go hull down. And I tried to snipe that cupola there, but we pulled back at the last second. But I'm feeling fairly confident. I know I can hold this corner for a while, as they're only going to get track damage or have to have shots on my turret at this point. So it's got to have patience. Hold the cover here. Don't let them just panic you. Stay calm and know the capabilities of your tank. They try to get a sneaky shot into the back of my tank, so I realign myself a bit more. Get the cliff face cover on me. I go close to the cliff thinking they'd have to come further round, allow me to back up and get a shot into them. Which happens here. I back up as they come round, get a shot into the side of the KV-3, and then bounce one from the KV-5. But my attention's turned to the KV-3 and I eat a shot from both him and the IS-3. And there's another shot there. Let's have a quick look at those. Machine gun port on the front of the tank. That is a known weak spot. And I think the angle had flattened out because of the height there, and that allowed the shot to go through the top of the tank by there. But a bounce off the front, still quite a decent bounce of the gunplate of the low upper glacis there. And shots off the side of that turret are never going to do anything to you. So we're down to 580 health. But we hug this. Oh, but straight off the turret there. Wasn't expecting him to do that. It was a bit brave of him. And we missed that shot there. I'm not sure where that one went. And now with 281 health, next shot's probably going to kill us. But another good bounce as I'm keeping my lower glaciers covered up. Straight off the gun mantlet. But I'm having to split my attention here. Managed to turn my turret around. Hits my tracks. And another shot off the tracks. But the KV-3 mans up, comes around and shoots me in the side. Now I'm going to let this run on for a minute because this Centurion gives a really good account of himself. Against 3 heavy tanks. Takes out the KV-5. Pulls back. IS-3 is blocked off by the remains of the T-34. And a shot into the side of the KV-3. Gets lucky and sets him on fire. KV-3 uses a fire extinguisher to prevent himself being killed. And he's smart now. Pulls back and diverts his attention to the KV-3 before worrying about the IS-3. Splitting his damage up. Killing off the priority targets. It's always a smart move. And now he's playing the waiting game. Trying to get shots on the IS-3's cheeks there. I don't think that was a good shot myself. I think he should have saved his ammo. But using my remains as cover, forces the IS-3 out. Bounces a shot off the gun mantlet there of the Centurion. That was lucky. But then unlucky that he tracked the IS-3. Using the quick reload though, he gets another shot in. And he stays there to eat a shot and misses. And that's unfortunate for him. Panicked and missed the last shell. Now he's going to be brave and push forward to get the IS-3 in the reload time. And he doesn't get it. He takes too long to land a shot and the IS-3 reloads. And that's unfortunate play. He started off well but made some mistakes towards the end. And that's another loss for us, guys. And here we have another tier 9 match. This one a lot more tier 9 heavy, with 5 tier 9s in each team, bunch of tier 8s, and one unfortunate T21 on the bottom of each team there, bottom of the enemy team, sorry. Now, I'm not a big fan of this map. I find it's a bit too much of a stalemate at times. But I'm going to head up here to the south of the map, and I'm going to get on top of the mountain, hopefully get another hull down position. As I said, vitally important in this tank. Perhaps the one and only skill you need to know to be a decent driver of this tank is where you can get yourself hull down in attacking positions. So this match is a good showcase of how good this tank can be in a tier 9 match. For some people who still feel that the gun isn't going to perform very well. Now I will admit at the start of this match the gun does let me down. Perhaps my aiming lets me down, a mix of the both. But it doesn't let me do enough damage early on. But we are shooting at rather long ranges. So, we're going to climb the hill now and try and get ourselves into the position. I'm going to fast forward through this because we're going uphill and it's a bit slow. As always there, first person to be spotted gets vaporized. But that reveals the Ag Tiger for us. Aim for the lower plate. And it dips and goes to the right. And I think that catches the very bottom of that lower plate and bounces then. But at this range, we're going to not have that great penetration because AP shells lose penetration over distance. So that's going to cost us a bit of an issue here. So I advance forward, trying to get into a decent position where I can use this gun mantlet, try and get some spots off for my team. And then I see the wreckage of my ally there and I think, that might be useful. You know, use his carcass for the good of the nation. So I plonk myself behind him and immediately start spotting enemy tanks here. Side of a T95. Very difficult to go through those tracks. Double layer tracks on that tank. Just in case some of you didn't realize, I'm using Gnome Father's HD sound pack for the guns. It is fantastic mod pack and I really suggest you go find it. Really, really good sounding guns as you can hear there. And I took a bounce off the gun mantlet from that range there. I'm surprised the IS-3 managed to hit me with the accuracy in their gun. But he managed to, and I luckily bounced it. So, we go back again, take another bounce and another bounce. As you can see, from this range, this gun is fairly ineffective. But the turret armor allows us to make up for it by just being a giant meat shield for our allies. And forcing our enemies to take shots at us and reveal their position. So, I keep backing off and then coming back forward again. Give me time to reload. I don't want to be sitting out there forever. And unfortunately, the IS-3 falls off the bridge and gets killed right before we land our shell. So we've still done no damage so far. But I feel that we've provided something useful. By drawing out a lot of fire, we're allowing our allies to get off shots that they wouldn't be able to normally. Again, there the Ag Tiger takes a shot at us and gets revealed. And you instantly hear our allies firing at him and get the kill. So that's another bit of spotting damage for us. And by the end of this match, I'd racked up over 3,800 spotting damage. Or damage assist from tracking. So that's a lot of damage done by simply being a nuisance and using this turret there. And that shot was unfortunate. It flew high and wide. I didn't wait for it to fully aim. But it wasn't far off being fully aimed. And just the RNG gods decided that shell was going to go nowhere. So here's a bit of a rout now. I take an artillery hit, and I hate artillery. It really annoys me. I think it's too easy to get that sort of damage. Luckily, it doesn't get a square on hit. The building next to me took the explosion, the splash damage. Took off about 350 there. Now I think, right, they've lost a few tanks. They're a bit weak. I know there's only a few tank destroyers down here. So I'm going to advance forward for a bit. Try to get some shots on this T541E. E1 even. God, I butchered that name. Let's get some shots on the top of the turret. And that one bounces straight off the top. Angling wasn't too great, but I would have hoped that would have gone in. Fortunately, he gives me the side of his turret here. And I put one square into the turret ring. But I ate a shot from the side there from one of the tank destroyers on the ridge. But now I know they're going to be reloading as they just killed my ally. So that gives me time to walk out and get another shot off. And then the E-75 man modes it off the mountain and kills him with a ram. I suppose if you're a tank that heavy, that's how you do it. So now, the 2 tank destroyers on the ridge have been spotted. So I try to push the corpse of my ally here out to give me some cover. But this is a bit of a waste of time. It's not really helping me because I can't see the enemy. And I put some hopeful shots in here, but largely ineffective. And all I'm really doing is giving my position away, so not something I'd recommend doing. But again, at least I'm providing a nuisance, being spotted and unspotted repeatedly, forcing people to switch their targets from the E-75 down below me, who I think is a more valuable player with a bigger tank than me. I'm trying to draw attention away from him. Doesn't quite work as you just seem to get killed there. Another shot out but didn't get a hit, so I decide, right, I'm going to have to advance forward a bit more. Bounced off the top of my gun there. And a good shot right into the weak spot on the front of that Jagdtiger. And the Jagdtiger 88, troll armor, bullet flies high into the gun mantlet. So I decide I'm going to load some HE now. You know, he's low enough health. All I need to do is hit him with this HE shell and down he goes. But nobody's spotting him anymore. The enemy have pulled back this match. 11-9. It's not that far off. So we've got to be careful. I'm still waiting for that Jagdtiger. Trying to bait out a shot. Don't want to give up my cover and get hit in the sides. And then luckily I decide, right, I'm going to move forward. And as I do, hit in the sides. I knew it would happen. But I had to move as artillery was clearly aiming at me there. So I wait behind the buildings so I don't get spotted any longer. 6 seconds for the spot to finish. And there's a little rocky outcrop here on top of the mountain. So I'm going to get up here and that'll put me hull down again. And there's the Jagdtiger 88. HE shell in front of the tank. Splash damage kills him. And I go back to the loading AP again. Still haven't fired a gold shell in any of these matches. And they've been against tier 9 opponents. Now I think they've only got 2 tanks left. I'm going to man mode it down here. I think I can take a shot from that prototype. And unfortunately there, my driver was drunk. Hit a rock. Don't take my driving license from me. So, they get spotted and I think, oh gosh, right. Angle didn't work. Didn't get enough of angle. He fired down into me and then GW Panther hits me on the move. And I was not happy with that. I knew it was poor play by me. And a good shot by the artillery there. But we go on to win this match, thankfully, as me revealing the opponent. Let my allies get a shot off and kill the T28 prototype. And we end up winning that game. So, I hope this has shown you how powerful this tank can be if played smartly and using the turret in an effective manner to give yourself a strong defensive position. And all you've got to do to make that gun useful is take your shots at the weak spots. Perhaps close the gap a bit. It's not a long-range gun, but once you get up close, you can hit the weak spots effectively and cause serious damage to your opponents. Like I said, in this match, I did 1,000 damage, and we did over 3,600 spotting damage. So guys, I hope that's shown you how effective this Tier 8 American heavy tank can be at holding corners, especially when you get to be a hull down. And how effective this gun can be even in Tier 9 matches, as long as you aim for those weak spots. Not perhaps at range, but you get up close, put yourself into a position where they can't hit your hull, and start picking those weak spots, and the damage will rack up quite quickly. And at long range, like I showed there, you can be bait, force the opponents to take shots at you with that turret they are never going to go through, but they will reveal themselves, give you spotting damage, and let your allies take shots at them. So, as I said, my favourite tank at the moment. I highly recommend it, and I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I'll see you next time, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye-bye.